Welcome, everyone. It is Monday, January the 20th, 2020. It is currently 5:51 p.m. Central Time. Well, earlier this morning, if I can speak right, I'm starting off wrong, okay? Earlier this morning, I received an email alert from the American Family Association. And in this alert, they were warning me about a new show airing on the Disney Channel. And as soon as I read the headline, as soon as I read the alert, as soon as I read the warning, I said, okay, I need to save this immediately because I need to record a broadcast about it. I need to do a Theology Central episode about this warning because it raises lots of subjects that we need to talk about, all of them from a theological perspective. I need to inform the people, talk about these things. So save it and let's talk about it. And then the day proceeded and I did not have an opportunity. And just a few minutes ago, everyone walked out the front door and I went running to my study, slammed the door, turned on the microphone, hit the go live button. And here we are, a special live broadcast of the Theology Central podcast. We're going to be talking about a new show on the Disney Channel that the American Family Association is calling demonic. And they are warning Christians about it. So we are going to take a look at it. But before we do that, let's take a few minutes and let's consider something, all right? In the Christian world, whenever a piece of art is brought into question, and when I say a piece of art, it could be a novel, could be music, it could be a movie, it could be, anything along those lines. Any kind of work of art. Whenever Christians has a problem with a piece of art, the way they handle it sometimes bothers me. Sometimes the way they handle it, I believe, is not very logical, not very consistent, and sometimes I believe it's not even very biblical. Now, I think the motives tend to be right. I think the motives is we need to be godly, we need to be holy, we don't want to be engaged in anything that is sinful. So the motive is right, but sometimes the motive can be right, but the execution can be poor, or sometimes the motive can be right, and you actually do more damage in the way you execute your plan than the good you do. You actually do more damage not only to the name of Christ, but you in some cases actually hurt Christians more by the philosophy that you give them and the way you handle these kinds of situations, right? Let me try to explain it this way. When it comes to movies, when it comes to music, when it comes to TV shows, movies, etc., there really seems to be there's probably far more, but I'm going to break them down into two philosophical approaches. Approach number one, we're going to call this isolation and avoidance. Isolation and avoidance. View number two, we're going to call engagement and analysis. So we have isolation and avoidance, engagement and analysis. Now you obviously can just tell from those words that these are radically different approaches to how to handle this kind of thing. I mean, we have a television show on the Disney Channel. The American Family Association is almost going with isolate and avoid. Don't watch it, stay away from it, keep your kids from it. I don't know if they call for a boycott of the Disney Channel, but I think the American Family Association has called for a boycott of Disney before. Stay away from it. Don't look at it. Just avoid it. Another approach may be, hey, here's this show on the Disney Channel. Don't know how culturally significant it's going to be, but let's take a look at it. Let's engage it. Let's analyze it. Let's look at how the story in the show is structured. Who are the characters? What is the plot? What is the ultimate message that we can take away from this? Is there anything good in it? And is there anything bad in it? What do we need to be, if we say that it's wrong, what would be our argument for saying that it is wrong? What would we be judging it by? Are we being consistent in our judgment? If we say this is wrong, how can we turn around and recommend this movie that all Christians seem to love? That's engagement and analysis. The other side is like, look, it's got these three things in it. It's bad. Don't look at it. Avoid it. Now, here's the problem with the isolation and avoidance perspective. You don't teach Christians how to actually analyze art, how to actually engage art. You give them like the thing, okay, if it's got an R rating, it's bad, stay away from it. Boom. Okay, well, here's the thing. They may watch something that's G or PG because it doesn't have that big bad R, but guess what? The philosophy in it, the message in it may be actually worse than something that's in the R movie. The only difference is it doesn't have the bad words, or it doesn't have this, or it doesn't have that. But the philosophy in it may be bad, but the people watching it have no idea how to actually watching, how to understand narrative, how to understand the story structure, how to understand how to analyze the character, how to understand how to look for this and look for that, how to understand camera shots and what the director is trying to say, and how maybe sometimes he's getting a message across not by the dialogue, but the way that the scene is shot. All these kinds of things about film analysis and how to analyze it. The average Christian has no idea. They're just told, if the movie has these 4 things, if it's got an R rating, bad. If it's got this, bad. If it's got this, bad. Don't watch it. Okay, I understand that there may be a time for isolation and avoidance. But if the people are not being trained to actually engage and analyze, they in many cases are still vulnerable and open to unbiblical philosophy and unbiblical way of thinking. You've got to do more than simply saying, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. You have to be able to say, analyze and go, well, that's wrong. And here's the reason why. That is equipping people how to engage and how to think. 2 radically different philosophical approaches. I want everyone to understand that. Isolation and avoidance versus engagement and analysis. Whenever you watch anything, you should be engaged and analyzing it. What is it trying to say? What is the message? What is the philosophical position it's coming from? What is it trying to get across? What does it want you to feel? What does it want you to think? What conclusion does it want you to have? And if you don't learn that, then you're vulnerable. And here's the thing. I've heard Christians say, well, I don't care to do all of that when I watch anything. Well, you may not care to do all of that, but the people who made it, who wrote it, they have a message. And just because you don't care to analyze it, that message still enters into your mind and impacts the way you think. Take every thought captive. That is a biblical command. So you have to engage and analyze, or you just have to spend your life completely avoiding. And sometimes, because there's no actual engagement in thinking, you get really weird, sometimes almost contradictory views that people look at Christians and go, you guys are weird. Let me give you an example. See if this rings a bell. Harry Potter is of the devil. We should not read it. We should not watch the movies. It is satanic. I can't believe any Christian would support such horrible works of darkness. Oh, however, the witch and the wardrobe, that's okay. Well, wait, it's got witches in it, and it's got this in it. Well, that's okay. That's okay. Because C.S. Lewis, that's okay. Wait, how about the Lord of the Rings? You've got sorcerers and elves, and you got all kinds. You got walking trees. You got all kinds of magical stuff going on. Oh, but that's okay. That's Christian. Okay, wait. Harry Potter, evil because it has magic in it. But you can have magic. Wait, can you have magic or no magic? Is there good magic or bad magic? Wait, well, it depends on if the Christian world says it's good. If the Christian world says it's good, it's good. So you can have magic, you can have witches, you can have warlocks, you can have sorcery, you can have all of this kind of stuff in a fantasy world and it still be okay, but then other times it's not okay. Who gets to be the gatekeeper to tell you? Right? And sometimes you get these really inconsistent ideas and usually it's Christian teenagers are going, you guys are just absolutely out of your mind. Y'all are so inconsistent. You'll see Christian parents do this. You cannot listen to that music. It's got bad words in it. Mom and Dad, the movie you're watching has a whole lot of bad words. Well, it's different. It's different. You cannot listen to secular music, but you're watching secular television. See, no thought, no engagement, no analysis, just some arbitrary set of rules that are never consistently applied. And it calls at time just isolate and avoid and no thought about the reason and the why and consistency. Two weird philosophical systems. And again, no one usually embraces just one. Sometimes we're somewhere in the middle as Christians, stumbling around trying to figure all of this out because it's hard. Again, the motive may be right. You want to stay away from bad things. The motive is right. But if you're not careful, you create a group of people called Christians who can't actually engage and analyze. They just wait for someone to show them that there's three bad things in it, and then they just avoid it and isolate themselves from it. Well, we're supposed to be salt and light. How about we engage so that we can have meaningful conversation about it? Now, that doesn't mean you should watch everything. I'm not saying that. It doesn't mean you should listen to everything. You may want to know about it. You may want to know what's in it so that you can engage and talk about its ideas when the time comes and you don't speak from a position of ignorance. I think that there is a time and place. But as a Christian, how do we engage this is a hard thing. Okay, I could go far more in depth with that. I just want to throw that out there at the beginning. Now, let's turn to the show in question, all right? Here's the show in question. Let me pull this up on my iPad. I think my iPad's going to die here in a minute, which would be really bad. All right. Here is the headline from the American Family Association, sent out today at 9:43 a.m. Disney airs new demonic series, The Owl House. So the name of the show, it's an animated show, obviously directed for children. It's on the Disney Channel. It is called The Owl House. Now, I have not watched any of the episodes yet. I have seen advertisements for it, but I have not watched it. It definitely clearly seems to have a lot of magic and that kind of idea in the narrative and the storytelling. Lots of things uses magic in the storytelling. But from that, I didn't draw, when I saw the ad or saw the commercial, the trailer, I was going to pull up the trailer and play it for you, but I don't know if the trailer would give you much. I don't think there's really much said in the trailer. It's more of a visual thing. So I don't know if playing the trailer would have been much benefit, but you could probably find the trailer online if you want to look at it. Again, it's called The Owl House. When I saw it, I did not immediately go, "Oh, demonic, evil, stay away." I didn't give it much thought, but let's see what they have to say. All right. Warning for parents! Exclamation point. So they want to emphasize. Here is a warning for parents. Disney has taken yet another dangerous step into the darkness with its new animated horror comedy series titled The Owl House. Now, when you call a Disney show an animated horror series, I'm sorry, I have to chuckle a little bit. I don't know how scary I don't know if it can even be classified as horror, but maybe that's the actual designation for it. But all right, animated horror comedy series titled The Owl House. Following the Disney films about the evil, they named some other movies, and an animated Disney series, Stars versus the Forces of Evil. So they named some other things that Disney has done in the past. They say the new kid-targeted series is also set in a spiritually demonic realm. The Owl House premiered, and I'm saying owl, O-W-L. I'm not saying out. Okay, I'm not saying the Out House. The Owl House. My Texas accent could come in there. Okay, the Owl House premiered January the 10th on the Disney Channel with new episodes scheduled to air on Friday nights. All right. I have not watched episode 1 yet, but I will. I'm going to watch it. All right. In The Owl House, Disney introduces kids to a world of demons, witches, and sorcery while inundating their young minds with secular worldviews that reflect the current culture. All right. So, according to them, they're going to inundate. They're going to just, bombard the kids and their young minds with a secular worldview that reflects the current culture. Let's stop right there. Okay. Every show that you watch bombards you with worldviews. And typically they're going to be a secular worldview unless you're watching a Christian program. And then when you're watching a Christian program, they may not be bombarding you with a secular worldview. They may be bombarding you with theological heresy. Okay. So that doesn't mean you just turn off your brain. Hey, this is Christian. It's good. It may be bombarding you with theological heresy that may be more deadly than the secular worldview. But here's the thing. From a very early age, you need to be training your children how to analyze what they watch. We had a simple rule in our house. Whatever we watched, when it concluded, we turned it off and we had a discussion about it. What was that about? What was the message? Tell me about the story. What was your favorite character? What did you think? Why did you like this character? Tell me something about this character. Were they good? Did they do bad things? Did they lie? Well, they lied, but the lie worked everything out. Well, okay, does that make lying good? Does that make lying right? I made my kids struggle with philosophical issues and moral issues that the show brought up. No matter what it was, no matter how silly it was, we had to talk about it. Now, whenever I say that, parents look at me like, I don't care to do all of that. I don't care. Well, then you're not equipping your children to be able to analyze when they are bombarded with worldviews that are contradictory to Scripture. And this is why so many Christians think in an unbiblical way, because they sit in front of a television and they make the excuse, I don't have time to sit there and think about it and analyze it. I just want to be entertained. Well, you're going to be entertained while you're being indoctrinated. Because everything has a message, and whether you like it or not, it comes into your brain and impacts the way you think. How many Christians say, follow your heart, straight out of Disney movies? They may not have cussing. They may not have sexual content, but they have a worldview there that is contradictory to the Bible, because the Bible says the Bible would never tell you to follow your heart. The Bible would say the heart is desperately wicked and deceitful above all things. Right? That's what the Bible says about the human heart. But hey, we're not going to analyze it. We're not going to care. Teach your kids how to analyze everything, because they are going to be bombarded with secular worldviews all around them. If you simply try to isolate them and avoid it, at some point they're still going to see it. At some point teach them how to analyze it, how to deal with it. It's part of being a parent. It's a part about being a Christian. Take every thought into captivity. So I said, hey, they're going to inundate their young minds with secular worldviews that reflect the current culture. Disney describes the storyline as follows. Luz, L-U-Z, a self-assured teenage human girl, stumbles upon a portal to a magical new world where she befriends a rebellious witch, Eda, E-D-A. An adorably tiny, she befriends a rebellious witch. Eda, an adorable tiny warrior, a tiny warrior / king. After meeting Eda, Luz decides to skip summer camp where her mother had sent her for a dose of reality and pursue her dream of becoming a witch by serving as Eda's apprentice. So we've got a portal. We've got witches. Right? The lion, the witch, the wardrobe, right? We got a portal. We got a witch. We got a king. We got a lot of things going on. Okay. All right. I called it the witch in the wardrobe earlier because I just wanted to emphasize the word witch there. All right. The series is rated TV Y7 FV, which means it's recommended for ages 7 and older and contains fantasy violence. The first episode is more than enough for most Christian families to realize that the Owl House, created by Dana Terrace, is not a cute, funny show, rather an extremely dangerous one. The second episode of the first season aired Friday night, January the 17th, and Disney has already approved it for a second season. Christian Broadcasting Network, CBN, criticized Disney's The Owl House series for trying to portray witchcraft as a positive tool to fight evil with the Owl House. Now, let's make this very clear. I don't know why you're looking to the Disney Channel to give you a Christian worldview. They're not a Christian channel, so we should not make them feel obligated to do so or expect them to do so. It's the Disney Channel. It's not the church channel, okay? All right. And said, here are some insights into the show's background according to Newsweek.com. Now, they have some quotes here, and these quotes are just ripped so far out of context, it's really hard to know because the way they're written. Okay, now remember they told us the creator of the show here. Let me go back. Do they have the name of the author, the name of the person who created the show? It's created by Dana Terrace, Terrace. So this is the first quote. She, Terrace, all right, wanted to pick my brain in the early days of the series when the original pitch was girl hangs out with witch in hell. That's a quote from Alex Hirsch, writer, animator, and voice actor. All right. But I guess they want to, the point of that quote is ripped completely out of any context, but they wanted to emphasize girl hangs out with witch in hell. All right. Yeah. Sounds scary. Sounds bad. All right. Got it. Another quote. When Disney first approached me, she said they were trying to make this demon realm a part of Disney. We really wanted to make this demon realm feel like home and just had to figure out how to do it. Ricky Cometa, artist. Again, no context. Don't really know exactly what they're talking about. But again, it's going to get Christians' attentions because they're going to try to make the demon realm feel like home. That's going to get their attention. The writer's room for the show is full of books on witchcraft, witches, and spells to take inspiration from. All right, that's obviously going to concern some Christians. The visual design of the show is inspired by various European painters, and they name some of them. Who was best known for his surrealistic depictions of hell. The creator felt that a twisted take on angels and demons would make for a cool show in that art style. All right, and this is what they say. The Bible tells us clearly in Isaiah 8, 19 through 22, that there is a spiritual realm that is not of God. It warns us not to participate in witchcraft or consult with mediums, but to call on God. Deuteronomy 18 also warns us to avoid witchcraft in all forms. Now, if you're going to go with that, hey, avoid it in all forms. That is any television show, any book that has any kind of witchcraft in it, avoid. And if you are consistent on that, you don't have a problem with me. But if you're running around celebrating the Lord of the Rings, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Wizard of Oz, and countless other shows where there are witches and there's witchcraft, and they are celebrated as like family classics, and everyone should watch them and they're celebrated, well, then you can't say you have to avoid it in every form because you allow it in some forms of storytelling. Now, I would tell you the Bible speaks of, witches, witchcraft. So I guess you would have to get into argument. How is it portrayed? Now, yes, there's a difference of portraying it bad or portraying it good. But even that, there are shows that are accepted by a lot of Christians where there's witchcraft in there and it's not shown as being evil or bad. Now, this is what they want you to do. They want you to sign our petition urging Disney Channel to cancel the demonic show. Now, that's where I get irritated. Here's Christians telling a secular television station, no, you can't air that. You're going to air what we want. Now, here's the thing. If you don't like it, don't watch it. You know, it would be like atheists sending petitions to a Christian television show, a Christian television channel saying, we want you to cancel all preaching because we don't like it. If you don't like it, don't watch it. Why do you have to send a petition to try to recreate the Disney Channel into your image and to your liking? Just don't watch it. All right? It's that. Christians always want to do that. Silence, boycott, censor, cancel. No. I want them to have the freedom to make a show that quote unquote portrays the demonic world as normal and is trying to do all the things that the American Family Association is accusing them of. I want them to have that freedom. And guess what? I want a Christian company to have the freedom to make a kids show that shows that witchcraft and demons are evil and to be avoided. And I don't want atheists sending protest letters to ban it or to have it removed. You want freedom. That's the beautiful thing about America. Freedom. The freedoms you want, you have to give others the same freedom. You don't have to watch the Disney Channel. Most people in 2020 don't watch live television. They watch things on demand. All right, then don't let your children queue up on the streaming device, the Owl House. There you go. There's 50 billion other things on the Disney Channel. Whether you're using the Disney Channel app, the Disney Channel Plus, whatever streaming device you're using, you can pick and choose. And you say, well, I can't be with them all the time. Well, then, okay. Then maybe it's time to teach them how to analyze and how to think about it. And here's the thing. I think a lot of parents don't want to spend the time watching the show with the kid and then talking to them about it. They just want them to go be in front of the television set as a free babysitter. And sit down and watch it with the kids. You thought, I don't like the show. Watch it with them. Engage the kids. Talk to them about it. Teach them how to deal with these issues. Sometimes a television show brings up very difficult issues that the kids are going to face at some point. Isn't it better to deal with them sitting in your living room in front of a television than them dealing with these issues with their friends online through text message or talking to their friends about it on a Friday night? Deal with complicated issues. Don't run from them. Teach them how to engage them and analyze them and consider them. Let them be honest. Let them say, I like that. And you say, okay. Let them be honest. Don't make them just parrot out the Christian response. Well, it's got a witch in it. It's bad. If the kid doesn't think it's bad, let them be able to say, I don't think it's bad. Okay, well, why not? Okay, you know what? I understand. It is cool. I do. You know what? It is an interesting show. I agree with you. Do you think the philosophy, though, is Christian? What do you think? Well, I don't care about the philosophy. Okay, but what do you think about it? Engaging, talking. That thing that we're really supposed to do. So this is what I recommend. If you have kids, young kids, and they do watch a lot of the Disney Channel, don't mention the show. When the kids are in bed, pull it up, watch The Owl City. Pay close attention to it. Don't mention it. Don't promote it. If your kids come and say, hey, everyone at school or everyone at church, the other kids at church are talking about this show, then you may say, okay, well, if we watch it, we're going to have to talk about it. And then talk about it and see what they think. Walk them through it. Now, 7 is old enough to start doing that. My kids were 7, were analyzing. I got grandkids now that I will talk to about. I mean, it doesn't matter what we watch. We have a 30-minute conversation. And it takes us 3 hours to watch a 44-minute show because they want to stop and go, okay, what about this and what about this and what? And they ask 1,000 questions, and I let them ask away, and I'm like, they think that's cool, and then I'll ask a question. I don't just come at them saying, no, that's bad. I want them to think about it. I want them to, because sometimes they'll say, well, what that guy did was good. He stopped the bad guys. And I'll be like, yeah, but what did he do to stop the bad guy? He lied. He deceived. He hurt people. Is that good? Well, I mean, he got the bad guy. And I'm making them struggle with a moral, ethical question. All right. So if you've got kids who watch the Disney Channel all the time, be aware of this show. It's called The Owl House. Man, I'm going to call it the Owl House at some point. I really am. And I'm telling you, there's going to be memes by Christians calling it the Owl House. Okay. The Owl House, it sounds like 2 episodes have aired. So I'm going to try to watch the 2, and I may watch them with some children and see what they think about it. I may have them talk. I may even do a recording and have them talk about what they think about it. Who knows? And just try to work through the concepts there. And, but just be aware of it. And again, it brings up lots of issues. And again, for me, from a Christian perspective, I always get so upset with the inconsistency in the Christian world. Like I said, Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe, good. Lord of the Rings, great. It's almost like, it's holy among, every Christian I know, the Lord of the Rings. And I hate the Lord of the Rings. I despise it. I think it's complete garbage, but I won't get into that. But man, other things that have similar content that, like, from the outside perspective, you're kind of like, well, what's the difference here? What's the difference? Okay. And they always try to make some argument. Well, this is an analogy of the Christian faith. You like, give me that analogy of the Christian faith. Give me. And then when you criticize the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe for his view on the atonement, you're like, what kind of view of the atonement's being articulated in that? Well, you're just being nitpicky. No, if it's articulating a wrong view of the atonement, that's not being nitpicky. That's being theological. But no, that's their favorite show. Don't criticize it. See, it's a lot of games Christians play and not truly thinking it through in an analytical, careful way. All right, I'll have to stop right there. A lot more I could say. Yeah, I think that went well. I was in a hurry trying to say a lot as fast as I could because I have a limited amount of time. But at least I got the information out there to you for you to consider. I did try to do this live broadcast. There was a one attempt done previously. If you were listening to that one, I apologize. I had to stop that live broadcast because I left the dog outside when I hit the go live button. And the dog was outside my window saying, "Hey, buddy, I don't know what you're doing in there, but you better let me back in because I'm going to ruin your live broadcast." We're barking their heads off. So I had to stop that live broadcast, restarted it. And so then I was in a massive hurry to try to get all of this in. But there you have it. The Owl House. The Owl House, airing on the Disney Channel. 2 episodes have been seen so far. New episodes air every Friday night. The American Family Association is referring to it as demonic, that it's bombarding kids with a secular worldview, trying to make them accept that witchcraft and demons are just the norm. And they are calling for you to sign a petition to tell the Disney Channel to cancel the show. I refuse to sign said petition. I think that's ridiculous. Why should I try to force the Disney Channel to follow Christian rules? When did Christianity become the system of belief that forces non-believers to act like Christians? No, we're the ones who call non-believers to repentance and faith, not trying to say, you do what we want. That's not the way it works. And it should not work, because if you force them to air what you want, then the lost people could boycott and petition Christian television channels to cancel anything that they don't like. And then everyone is canceling everything that they don't like. And that's a ridiculous world to live in. If you don't like it, this is going to be deep. But come on, come close to your speaker. Push that headphone closer to your ear. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. Wow. That's deep. All right. Thank you for listening. You can email me at newsif@yahoo.com, newsif@yahoo.com. This has been a special live broadcast of the Theology Central podcast, where we try to make theology central. See, I had to pause there because there's someone in my church who says there should be a pause. If you hear the intro, on some platforms you don't hear the intro, but if you were listening to us on Spreaker, you would hear the professionally done intro to this podcast. That sounds far more professional than I do. And they don't pause. They say making theology central, and some say it should be making theology central. So when I end it, I sometimes try to do that. All right, enough with that. Have a great night. Go watch, if you do watch the first if you watch the first 2 episodes of the Owl House, contact me. Email me at newsif@yahoo.com. Let me know what you think. If you're a member of Victory Baptist Church, talk to me about it in the chat, the church chat. Be more than happy to talk about it as well. I'm going to try to watch one, maybe here in a few minutes. All right. Everyone have a great night. God bless.